It's an emotional and politically charged issue. What to do with tens of thousands of unaccompanied children, mostly from Central America, crossing the border into the United States. Under a law passed in 2008, border agents are required to take child migrants who are not from Mexico into custody. They are screened and sent to an Office of Refugee Resettlement. But that system is now being crushed by the sheer volume of kids. They ride trains, they walk, they get to the border any way they can. The children are on their own, hoping to find refugee status in the United States, away from what they say is a life of gang wars and drug violence. But their presence is a hot debate. Now, President Obama has asked several states around the country to temporarily house children as Congress works to come up with a solution. Governor Deval Patrick says he is seriously considering the agreement.
My inclination is to remember what happened when a ship full of Jewish children tried to come to the United States in 1939, and the United States turned them away. And many of them went to their deaths in Nazi concentration camps.
But not all governors think it's a good idea. Maryland Governor Martin O'Malley has rejected the president's request on humanitarian grounds.
I'm far more concerned about children being penned up and cooped up in conditions that look a lot more like kennels.
And in Connecticut, Governor Dannel Malloy refused to accept 2,000 children because the building that federal officials wanted to use is in deteriorating condition.
You're just lucky! You're not better! None of you are better than them!
In Arizona, dueling protesters went at it over whether to accept the children. Arizona Senator John McCain says Congress needs to act quickly to amend the 2008 law blamed with fueling the migrant influx.
Nothing is going to improve until the plane loads of children return to the country that they left, thereby costing their parents and families thousands of dollars. Then they'll stop coming to the United States.
Meanwhile, President Obama is asking Congress for an emergency $3.7 billion to deal with the crisis. So is it only a matter of time before some of these children make their way to Massachusetts? I'm joined now by Republican State Representative Matthew Beaton of Shrewsbury and Marcela Garcia, an op-ed columnist for the Boston Globe. Welcome to both of you.
Thank you.
So just putting aside the issue of whether these kids should be here, I mean, they are. And I think everybody agrees the situation is totally untenable. I'll start with you, Matt. Since the president has asked the governor, to house some of these children, should we do it?
At this moment in time, I would say no, not right now. We are still uncertain as to the volume of children. How much is it going to cost the taxpayer? Where will these children be? Are they going to come into various towns? We see the situation going on in Lynn right now and the cost of the town. Who's going to pay that? Who's going to educate these children? We need the answers to all of these questions. And the Minority Leader, Brad Jones, is calling for a summit next week where he's going to put forward and bring together all of the stakeholders from ICE officials, local officials, Sheriff Hodgson from Bristol County, and the mayor of Lynn, who's been dealing with this issue for some time now.
Well, as you know, Marcel, the governor has not signed this yet, so presumably he's going to have all those details worked out before he signs onto this agreement, including where they're going to be, Camp Edwards.
Camp Edwards and Cape Cod,
discussed. Yeah. And I'm assuming it would be federal money.
Yeah, that's the thing. He said that this would be paid by the federal government, and I honestly think that it would be unconscionable not to treat these kids as humanely as possible. Whether it is a cost to the Commonwealth or not, in that debate, I would urge the lawmakers and the House Minority Leader to consider that these people, undocumented people, so we're going to talk about cost, they also contribute to the local and state economy. They contribute local and state taxes.
Right. These are kids.
These are the kids.
Put us in the perspective, because a lot of us don't get how this works. Do they have cell phones? How are they in touch with their parents? Do they have no identification?
What happens is they arrive at the border and they are, because they don't have a parent or a sponsor with them, they are categorized as unaccompanied children. So what happens is that because they're from Central America and not from Mexico, if a kid is from Mexico, they immediately are deported back to Mexico for geographical reasons. But if they're from Central America, then they're detained for a couple of days, and then the Human Health Services Department takes them and treats them as refugee, and then all these agencies, come into coming to work to try to find whether they have families, whether they have a sponsor, whether somebody can be responsible for them. These are children anywhere up to 17 years old.
Yeah. So you heard Senator John McCain say that the thing that's going to stop this is if the parents of these children have to pay for them to be deported. That's not going to happen. They don't have any money.
No, but we live in a world filled with over 7 billion people in a country over 300 million. We have the highest standard of living in the world. Of course, everybody wants to come here. We hear people saying about, our ancestors came here, my ancestors came here. They came here the right way. We're a country of laws. We need to follow our laws. Otherwise, we have no way of controlling our borders or who comes in here. We have no idea. We see the reports of some of these people crossing, not necessarily the children, but they're gang members. They're coming with diseases. We need to control and know who the people are coming in here. And we also need to look at if they do come into Massachusetts, they're not just going to stay at the various camps that are set up. They're going to be assimilated into the society with their families at a cost to the taxpayer. Right now, just the city of Lynn alone last year took in almost close to 200 illegal immigrant children at a cost of about $13,500 just for their education per year. Where is that $3 million coming from? And the federal government is not going to write a check to the city of Lynn. And the Massachusetts legislature and the governor has sent a clear signal that with our budget priorities, we are not going to live up to our commitment for local aid in Chapter 70 education funding. And these are the things we need to start considering. Right? We've gotten these promises from the federal government before, but unfortunately, they haven't come to fruition.
I mean, at this point, the problem is the lack of immigration reform. That's why these people keep coming, because unfortunately, Congress, by not acting for about a year, also created this incentive, ironically, of people to come. I mean, there were smugglers literally pitching, to potential victims, say, come now, or it is now or never. And, to the question of whether these children are going to be released because they have family members here, that remains to be seen, because again, all these details are being worked apparently by the governor, as he said today. Maybe we're just going to house them temporarily until the next process, and then send them back, because again, all these things are being literally worked out right now as the White House tries to deal with this crisis.
Yeah, the problem, Matt, is as much as you may be opposed to this, they're here. What are you going to do with them? Just
they're not here yet.
Put them in buses. They're in the country. They may not be in Massachusetts.
Sure, and we can have this. We've had this conversation for years now. But until we want to talk about amnesty, we want to talk about federal immigration policy. Until we stop the massive influx at the border, the rest of the conversation is moot, because the people are just going to continue to come. There has been no leadership. We can blame Congress, but there has been no leadership at stopping the influx of people coming into this country. Once we get there, we can talk about amnesty. We can talk about all these other things.
The problem is that then this becomes a question of what came first, the chicken or the egg, and until we really take a pragmatic approach to it, it's going to keep happening and happening. And like you say, these children are here.
Matthew Beaton and Marcela Garcia, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.